This is kind of a feel-good. This is kind of a feel-good story. You know, we just talked about Elon Musk catching a 20-story, what was it, 88 or 800,000 pound, whatever the hell it was, a ship out of the sky. Well, they loaded up NASA's a Europa Clipper, I think is the name of the ship, if I remember correctly. They put that on one of Elon Musk's and SpaceX's boosters, and they sent it off to space with a mission to specifically look closer at Europa, which is, I think, Jupiter's one of their smaller moons, to see if there can be life on it. It's covered in ice. They think it's methane ice, but who knows? Maybe it could be a different type of ice, or it would be able to support life. Before we jump into this, let me give a quick shout out to our sponsor today. This is from American Financing. One of the reasons, so I used to work, they have a script they sent me. I'm not going to read it. No offense to them. It's a very nice script, but I don't want to read it. I used to work for a financing company like this. When I got out of the military, I had a couple of random jobs. And then I worked for a company that was very similar to this, where they did refinancing on homes. And what they specialized in, what again, the company I used to work for, which is basically this company, it's the same as, what they specialize is they help you refinance your house, and you can use the equity to pay off your bills, whether it's credit cards or school loans or anything like that. And they do it in an interest rate that is about as good as you're going to get, because, as you know, the Jerome Powell just dropped rates by 0.5%. And then he's like, oopsie, look, inflation's still going up. We probably made a mistake. So they're probably not going to drop the rates down anymore. So it's probably going to be the best rate you're going to get for a while. So if you want to clean up things and kind of give yourself a fresh start, you can save upwards of $800 a month on average doing this kind of thing, which is like getting a raise of $10,000 a year. You can consolidate everything up and then get yourself back on the right track and clean things up. So reach out. The company's name, again, is American Financing. You can call or visit americanfinancing.net/bachelor here. I'll pop this up. They say NASA's Europa Clipper mission successfully launched today aboard a SpaceX Falcon Heavy rocket from Kennedy Space Center in Florida. This marks the start of a 6-year journey to Jupiter's moon, Europa. It's the Europa Clipper.
Europa Clipper, separation confirmed.
And there you go. NASA's Europa Clipper probe, embarking on a long-awaited mission to study Jupiter's icy moon, Europa. And what a sight, Mick.
That is absolutely gorgeous, Gerald, to see Europa Clipper on its way. Successful deployment from Stage 2. Falcon Heavy performed very well today. Teams behind us are clapping and enjoying. That is a beautiful picture.
You know, somebody the other day, in the comments of one of my videos, they said, I don't understand. This is a waste of time. It's a waste of time to go to Mars. It's a waste of time, to explore space. It seems to be a waste of time. You know, at one point in time, Europeans had Europe, and somebody decided to jump on a boat, a guy named Columbus. I think we just celebrated that yesterday, as a matter of fact. And whether it was Columbus or many of the other explorers, they said, you know something, there's a whole lot of ocean out there. I wonder what's on the other side of it. And they just got in a ship and went. I'm sure, and I'm not up to date on my history, I'm sure a lot of them left on ships and never came back, and they never went into the history books. I bet there's lots of them, just no-named explorers that might have had their own ship, or might have been, I don't know, representative of a nation, and they didn't find anything and they never were heard from again, and that's it for them in the history books. But then others found the United States, North America, South America. The reason why we do this is because I think it's meaningful to look for life and to expand our horizons and to become multiplanetary. I think, yeah, you can't just go to Mars and live on it, but think of the challenge. You know, men need challenge. Men like challenges. If you don't have any challenge in life and you're just bored sitting around all day eating Doritos and playing video games, you're probably going to be kind of miserable. But when you have something that you actually strive for and want to do, and it's exciting and it's challenging and it's hard, doing a hard thing and failing is a good lesson. Doing a hard thing and winning is an accomplishment unlike I think you can feel in many other things in life. I think it's important that we do this, and it gives us something productive and something that is bigger than us. It's bigger than us. To find other life on another planet, imagine the effect that would have on our belief systems. Finding, even if it's just bacteria or anything like that, just imagine what it does to to expand our views and our hopes on what our galaxy and our universe means to us. I think it's absolutely very, very, very cool, and I'm all for it. Isn't it better we spend money on that than wasted projects that don't do anything, like the government waste that we have? If we just cleaned up the government waste, we could probably pay for 50 missions like this to Mars. This is from MSN. Liftoff. NASA just successfully launched the largest spacecraft to a planet in the agency's 66-year history. NASA's Europa Clipper is now soaring towards Jupiter to look for an environment that could support extraterrestrial life. The spacecraft is the largest NASA has ever deployed for a planetary mission. When its solar arrays are fully deployed, Clipper will span more than 100 feet. Europa Clipper launched successfully on Monday afternoon from the space agency's Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral, Florida. When a SpaceX Falcon Heavy rocket lofted the mission into space, astronomers started a 7-year countdown. In 2031, Europa Clipper will rendezvous for the first time with the moon, Europa. In the dark, deep pits of the moon-sized world, the environment might just right to harbor life. When NASA's Voyager 2 first photographed Europa 50 years ago, and as other spacecraft like Galileo, New Horizons, and Juno have since then peaked at its surface, astronomers began to suspect that Europa's 15-mile thick outer crust of ice was hiding an ocean. An eclectic mix of circumstances in the outer solar system might resemble the hydrothermal vent environment at the bottom of Earth's oceans, where biologists suspect life first arose on our planet. At 12 o'clock Eastern Time, the Falcon Heavy cleared the launch pad. A minute later, it went supersonic. It survived the roughest phase of ascension, called max Q, when dynamic pressures caused the rocket to experience maximum mechanical stress. The Falcon Heavy's boosters, which previously helped launch NASA's Psyche mission, successfully released 4 minutes after the launch. 2 minutes later, the rocket had completed its job, leaving Europa Clipper to complete the rest of the journey. Clipper then began its first maneuver, a roughly 3-minute burn, to begin setting up its trajectory towards Jupiter. Clipper will build upon what's known about Europa's ice. Previous studies have found signs that there's a subsurface ocean that helps the crust to regenerate. If it exists, the ocean covers Europa's entire body, a dark place definitely blocked from whatever sunlight reaches Jupiter's realm. We believe there are some unusual features down here that are caused by Jupiter. Jupiter's huge. You can fit 1,000 Earths inside of it. On top of that, the orbit of Europa is not quite circular, so when it gets close to Jupiter, it gets kind of squashed. When it gets further away, it releases this mechanical energy into thermal energy. Deputy project scientist of Europa Clipper said in a NASA broadcast played before the spacecraft's launch. The heat could come out as thermal vents, releasing energy and chemicals to create an ideal region for a habitable environment. Most life on Earth needs sunlight, but not all. Abyssal and hadal regions in the depths of Earth oceans are also dark. There's heat generated from the ground below the water. Clipper will search for answers by performing almost 50 close flybys of Europa's surface, intricate clips that allows it to collect precious clues while surviving Jupiter's dangerous radiation environment. NASA will shape Europa's Clipper's route by sending it on gravitational flybys of Mars and Earth in the next few months. If all goes according to plan, in 2030, Clipper will first encounter Jupiter and undergoes a lengthy maneuver to insert itself into the gas giant's orbit. Clipper will then use gravity of other Jovian moons to tweak its path through space and to shrink its orbit down to its ideal track. Eventually, Europa Clipper's work could prove the universe is a less lonely place than we currently think. The other thing that I find interesting about this as well is that, let's say they don't even find life. Maybe there's no life there, but maybe they decide to explore it further. A planet that is basically a big ball of frozen methane would make a really great gas station. I keep forgetting my camera. I moved my camera the other day, so I'm looking over here at nothing. A big ball of frozen methane would be a really great gas station to refill ships if you're going to explore other moons or further into our own solar system. Some of that frozen material might be water. I don't know. I don't think frozen methane and frozen water mix. So it could be a stop for a gas fill-up as well as a water fill-up before exploring further places, our universe and our solar system. But furthermore, it's the culmination of math. It's the culmination of science, of physics, all the things that we've learned throughout humanity. To be able to fling a piece of metal with some solar panels and a battery, maybe a nuclear battery, and cameras to just kind of fling that off into space where it travels, I would have to assume millions of miles to get to Jupiter, and have it swinging around the Earth and swinging it around Mars to get the acceleration necessary, and then getting it out near Jupiter and being able to decelerate it and slow it to get into a gravitational orbit of a moon millions of miles away, all while your commands that you send to the spacecraft can take hours, if not days, or in some cases weeks or months to get that data to the spacecraft so it can hear you and adjust accordingly. If you don't find that just the ultimate pinnacle of humanity and the testament to man's knowledge, it's not an emotional thing. I mean, when it's successful, it's emotional, but getting it there has 0% to do with emotion. It is the culmination and the highest pinnacle of man's raw intelligence and fortitude and determination to make something that seems impossible happen. And that's what I'm just overwhelmed by the beauty of this. You know, if you told me I need to figure out how to fling a marble from this side of the room to the other side of a building 50 feet away into a jar with an opening this big, and I'm flicking a marble, and you have to do math to figure out how hard to fling it in the air and the angle and the gravity, that seems like a daunting task. But to be able to do it with a little piece of metal 100 feet across or 100 yards across and fling that into the solar system and have it land on a planet, that just boggles the mind.